Stars crawl into the underworld. Afterlife, an abyss protects you. In the light, goddess of the sun brings you life. A deity, best it is her name. Come learn the ways of man. Become one with the sand. The fate is in your hands. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing your mark. Get a lot mystical formation. Tear down the walls, beat on the drums. Let us claim this is war. In the dark, a river flows. The Nile is so big, power. A morning star is seen in our side. In the light, find your desert altar and your shrine. Look for peace, defeat the enemy. Run to the obelisk, defend this legacy. Fly to your destiny. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing your mark. Get a lot mystical formation. Turn on the walls, beat on the drums. Let us claim this. We rise, reach for the sky. Hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher. Conquer the ark. Get ready to fight for your life. We rise up. We're the kings, we're the queens. We're the gods, gotta stop this animation. Turn on the walls, make it our mark. 'Cause we're the kings, we're the queens. Let's win this war.
Hello, governors. Welcome to Osiris League Season 8 Grand Finals. I'm your host, Plato Gaming caster and content creator for Rise of Kingdoms, and casting alongside me today is Dirty Dan. Thanks for being here with me, man.
Thanks for having me again, and very excited for this next installment of the continuation of the Osiris League.
The next installment is a great way to put it, as we are back with the Osiris League cast, jumping straight into the Grand Semifinals, where the 4 Osiris League Realm champions will battle it out to determine who is the best of the best. The match that we are casting today will be in the Realm of Anubis. 60G will be the King of Anubis, 60GT from 1960 versus the Realm of Sobek champions, 27WP from Kingdom 3227. 60GT have been busy the past couple of weeks, from a toughly fought 3-game series against 489 in the Realm of Anubis finals to fighting in the biggest KVK of the summer against 1093 and their allies. It has been event after event for them. And today they are looking to continue their journey back to the top, but in their way is 27WP, the Season 8 Realm of Sobek champions. Though the underdogs, they are looking to upset 60GT and be the first ever Realm of Sobek representatives in the Grand Finals. Will 60GT be able to make their first steps towards finally capturing the ever-elusive Grand Finals championship, or will 27WP shock the Rise of Kingdoms world with a win today? Dirty Dan, what are your initial thoughts with this matchup?
I mean, you have one of the OG best teams ever in these grand final semifinals, going up against the new kid on the block. So unless there's some trickery at play here today. I think 60GT is going to stick to their playbook and kind of maybe piece this one up. But I'm always one who likes to root for the underdog. So I'm definitely looking forward to see if 27WP has anything up their sleeves. And it's going to be interesting just considering the fact that everyone is going to have, level accounts. Everyone's going to have the same amount of troops, same armament, same equipment. So it is going to be very fun. And I know that you had your hand in the test server a few weeks ago. So I know that that's a treat in itself for some of these players, especially from 3227, being in a new kingdom, being in the newest realm, and having access to all these new toys at their disposal. So I'm really curious to see how a young kingdom can take meta commanders from Season of Conquest and put that together and put up a good fight against 60GT today.
Yeah, let's expand on that point, because the grand finals event is different from Osiris League in terms of accounts, because the developers are giving these guys accounts to play with. 60GT just coming from a KVK, the deads that they took won't matter because the troops that they're going to be having will be from these accounts in this test server in a different environment. So Dirty Dan, so they have the same equipment, same commanders, same armaments. It's essentially all about strategy in these grand finals. So we'll have to see if this new kid on the block, 27WP, will be able to play with these new bells and whistles and get a win here. I guess, what would they have to do against 60GT, to win this match?
I would go out on a limb and say, look for something on the opening, maybe a play on the obelisk. They could even maybe take a page from the 60GT book and maybe go for a 12-point arc fight, which we saw and casted on that finals match against 2489, I believe it was. I would expect some kind of trickery, and let's not forget too, we have all max commanders and again equipment and all that stuff. Maybe we see a little bit more ranged towers coming at play, especially in these mid fights. Okay. So there's going to be some cool things here and there that I think we might not see in a typical Osiris League match because just the accounts aren't ready for them. But with all the tools at your disposal, I think that we should see some really fun plays here in this match.
All right, without further ado, let us get into the game. We are in the game here. 60GT will be in the top left corner. You can start to see them teleporting in one by one, being super meticulous with who will be in the front. Usually the people that teleport first will be taking the last teleport spots because these cities are closer to the front, able to reinforce faster. Just these little micro optimizations that you see from the top teams. The cities in the back usually teleport first. And then you could see kind of a similar situation with 27WP, just both teams showing that we are here to play and that they're going to be trying their best here. Dirty Dan, should we ask about predictions? Like, what do you think will happen, or what do you think the score will be at the end? The differential will be at the end of this match.
Man, the predictions always get, and this is so hard too, right? Because it's a level playing field. Everyone has the same account. So in Osiris Leagues, as we kind of touch on as we go through, your account status matters. But everyone's level playing field here. So I would, I want to see an upset here. I want to see, and I think you had mentioned this would be the first Sobek team ever to advance. So I would really like to see an upset here. And I know 60GT, again, coming off of a really nice few weeks with the Osiris League win, obviously the KVK that they're kind of slowly wrapping up in King's End right now. So, maybe to humble them down a little bit and keep them down to reality, I'd like to see 27WP take this year.
Yeah, it would be a crazy upset. I'm not too sure if this is a graphical glitch, but it looks like some of the players have their initial powers here, but I guess we'll see with the matchup what kind of marches they bring out. You see 118 million power, and then you see 18 million power. But I'm pretty sure, at least the past couple of grand finals, it has been everyone with the same accounts. But I guess that just shows, if we weren't playing with that, look at the amount of difference. We got 23 million of 10 million, 22 million. You know, that just shows the realm of Sobek being a really, really young kingdom, a really, really young realm, being the youngest realm. I'm pretty sure they used KVK2 and the KVK2 commanders for their grand final, or their Osiris League rather, as the gates are going to be finally falling, and we'll have to see if 27WP could come up with some strategies here.
I think one thing to look out for too, especially so we see some T1 accounts. So everyone has all the T1 troops, but curious to see, since everyone has the same troops, commanders, units, the amount of troops they have, should see a very heavy presence on cavalry. I feel like is usually the play here. But obviously you want to kind of keep the top meta pairings available, but cavalry are going to serve you so well in these arc matches. So I'm curious to see if one team is going to lean a little bit heavier on going a little bit more full cav as opposed to not bringing in the meta marches. So that'd be one thing to look out for.
I will say, I just saw a 10 million power accounts bring out 5 T5 marches, so they are going to be playing on the dev accounts. It is a graphical glitch, just showing their native powers there. Crazy to see though. The poll looking like 87% of people thinking that 60GT will win this match. We got 13% believing in the underdogs here, believing with Dirty Dan, as the obelisks start getting captured here. Let's check out the rallies. We have 3 60GT rallies and 2 from 27WP. Looks like the 27WP rallies are going to be going towards their home obelisk, so no offensive rallies, at least in their part. No transport rallies either. So what that indicates to me, Dirty Dan, is that they're looking to play a pretty defensive opening here.
Yeah, I don't blame them, especially, again, with just the amount of experience that 60GT has and what these players have seen throughout all of the Osiris Leagues that they've played. I think going on a little bit more of the defensive is definitely the right approach, and to just make sure you don't screw the opening up, because we've touched on it before of how important these first 10 to 15 minutes are leading into your first arc rotation. So I think playing a little bit defensive and making sure that everyone is where they need to be is definitely the play against 60GT.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably going to be one of the first times that a team like 27WP will be fighting the Titan, which 60GT is. So, you know, playing super defensively, making sure that their openings are fine, and then trying to fill in the gaps elsewhere, and maybe try to play around with the strategy elsewhere later on into the match might be the play for them. 60GT, though, having a lot of marches come up in this Desert Altar area. We see that the transport rally of archers is coming through, so 27WP needs to be in position to counter this push here. 60GT having a full vision of the amount of marches defending the Desert Altar as well, with this scout double C from YY just walking around. Everything will be in view here. Looks pretty standard from everything that I see so far, Dirty Dan.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty typical opening. I think you might see 60GT on that bottom side. You can see a nice little group on their Sky Altar, maybe to looking to play on that Shrine of Life a little bit more aggressively on those outside lanes that we keep bringing up ad nauseum. But it's just such a good tactic to do, to kind of to force your opponent to kind of think a little bit more. But yeah, for other than that, it's pretty standard from what it looks like. I was expecting maybe a little trickery in the beginning, but 27WP just choosing to play a little safe.
Yeah, it is kind of a vote of confidence to play standard against 60GT. 60GT, I mean, they're the realm of Anubis Kings for a reason. Ever since they've made Anubis, they've won every single Osiris League championship. As we said in the finals of Anubis, they potentially might be going to Horus next season. So, you know, just going standard against them is going to be a tough ask. But 27WP, let's see what they can do as the initial murder ball in this top desert altar has commenced. The murder ball in the desert altar in the bottom side, though, looking to go 60GT's favor. So again, these are the same accounts, same marches potentially. I mean, they have access to the same commanders, same equipment, same armaments. And because of that, there's going to be skills. Like, the way to differentiate the two teams would be mechanics, targeting, pairs, talents. So it looks like, at least in this position, 60GT having full control of their opponent's desert altar, taking it pretty much uncontested here. Also taking the sky altar in this top side somehow, maybe sneaking a march through past the murder ball that they have in this top sky altar. Just a sneaky outside. This is the outer lane. This is the outer lane, sneaking through there. But 4 altars, okay, 3 altars to 1 is, you know, not that good of a look for the standard play of 27WP so far, Dirty Dan.
Yeah, I think they just got caught sleeping there a little bit and lost that top altar. But yeah, really good performance on that first murder ball from 60GT on both sides, actually, too. You can see them pushing down on the top side now, looking to maybe snipe a little bit or delay the points a little bit, and then probably looking to zero out on some cities and get ready for their murder balls. One thing that I will bring up, I know you're talking about armaments and equipment. So everyone in this match and the other match as well has all of their armaments there's no attribute bonuses, but they're all special inscription.
Okay.
So one thing that I'm going to be curious about is, are teams using Testudo or are they using Hollow Square with the Heraclius? That's one thing that I'm going to try to key in on and see, because I think that's one thing that maybe the Rise of Kingdoms community doesn't have much testing on, just to see how good some of these Testudo formations could potentially be with all of these special inscriptions that you can have on it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see if there's going to be some shenanigans, but it's looking like a wedge formation for a lot of these open field marches, at least. Outside of that Liu Che, which is probably running that arch formation. 1 minute to go until they capture this desert altar. Again, the reason why altars are so important is because out of all the structures, they give the most points. For continuous occupation, they give 150 points per minute. But for first occupation, 750 points is a lot of points to give up here. 38 seconds before that flips. If 60GT are able to take this desert altar, take away the first occupation, they're well on their way to, you know, creating this gap that they like to have.
Which it looks like they're going to accomplish, because I'm surprised that 27WP doesn't have a rally. Like, a rally's not even, I would expect a rally to have been hitting on that structure, but just a little bit of delay and kind of going for trying to clear the open field presence, where I probably would have just pulled off at some point and start getting some of these troops into mid for this first arc fight. Well, it looks like 27WP is going to be a little bit behind on this rotation.
Yeah, so 60GT, like clockwork, they've been doing this for a very long time. One of the biggest advantages that they'll have will be the experience of their past 4 or 5 seasons that they've been playing. Yeah. And, you know, people might say, oh, they have some new players this season, but, you know, they are still very, very experienced, and I think the experience is paying off. You could kind of see that instead of going straight to the altar, for example, they were sad facing the 60GT marches, which is exactly what 60GT wants, because walking back sad-faced is a lot faster than taking the walk of shame with 1 HP, which is why sometimes you'll see marches just walk into city so that they can sad-face, go mid as fast as possible. 60GT kind of were able to get 2 wins, sad-facing for the refresh and also getting the Desert Altar, with 27WP focusing on the marches. But we'll have to see if 27WP is able to win this mid fight, then they would be just right back into the game.
Yep, they're going to need it. They're already down about 1,500 points going into this first arc fight, so they're definitely going to need this to avoid this match getting out of hand a little early here.
Yeah, this is going to be an important arc. Down by 1.5k, as you were talking about. The first arc gives 3k points, so if they're able to secure this arc, they'd be right in it, they'd be in the lead. But if they lose this arc, they'd be down by pretty much 4.5k, and that would be a tough ask for them to come back from such a deficit. They did take the Shrine of Life, so Shrine of Life, 5% health, troop health, 5% march speed, taken away from 60GT. Will that play a difference in this mid fight? It is a pretty big deal, so we'll have to see if that 5% health, especially since all the accounts, right, are even.
I was just about to say,
you have to take these little advantages as you can.
These shrines maybe mean a little bit more now in these setups where everyone has the same accounts. These shrines probably mean a little bit more just because of those stat bonuses.
Yeah, exactly. Just any form of advantage that you can get. Who do you think will win this mid-fight, chats? Will it be 27WP or will it be 60GT? 1 minute, 17 seconds until the arc spawns at the Temple of Osiris. This has to be nerve-wracking for 27WP.
Gotta say too, especially from watching this KVK, I'm surprised. Watching the KVK and from what we've seen in Osiris League from 60GT, I'm actually quite surprised that there's no ranged towers here. I would have expected to see a little bit more. Even in this KVK, I have noticed that side of 60GT and 489 have used a lot of ranged towers, and they know that they have some really good accounts for that. So I'm quite curious as to why they're not, especially with the lead here, kind of experimenting with that a little bit, since they kind of had that access to more ranged towers.
Sneaky tactics used by 60GT. We have Dust Up used by 27WP, Dust Up in response by 60GT. So 60GT spending more points, Total Vision, and by 27WP, Heaven's Grace by 60GT. So a lot of skills used there by both teams. I believe this is 6 skill points to... Wait, how did 60GT used up a lot of skill points there? Is that 9? 3, 2, 4,
9, yeah.
9 skill points used by 60GT. So they definitely want to win this mid fight, get control of the arc, and when you have control of first arc, even though it's not worth as many points, you are able to dictate how many arcs will spawn in the game with either holding the arc for less arcs or capturing it directly to force another arc to spawn. 60GT, this is looking very, very blue if we look at the dots.
Oh man, I think that correct me if I'm not mistaken, but that play got used against them. I think on one of those matches that we were casting Plotto. I think 489 used that against them, pulling all the archers into one area, using sneaky tactics to get that little bit of a boost on some of those harder hitting archer marches. I think that might have been the difference here. Obviously committing a little bit more skill points to that, but that sneaky tactics looking to be kind of turning into a little bit of a meta play here.
Sneaky tactics is so flexible, right? You can use it as a mid-fight skill. You can use it to sneak an arc. You can use it to sneak an obelisk. So 60GT just showing that, hey, we could use sneaky tactics in a murder ball fight. Now they are essentially up by 4.4k with the differential, 3k plus the 1.4 that they're up, so 4.4, unless I'm doing math wrong. And because they're so healthy, they're rotating straight to the opponent Desert Altar of 27 WP with the rally coming in.
Oh man.
The rally coming in just in well, it's a bit late, but you know, at least they had a rally set there.
That's exactly what you see from these guys. It's just one step after another, just like a well-oiled machine. These guys just don't skip a beat.
Arc looks to be safe. The Desert Altar of 27 WP though is a different story. Same accounts, but different players playing to be the big difference in this fight so far. So Dirty Dan, you see what's going on in this Arc match. What does 27 WP have to do to get back into this?
They got to get a very aggressive on altars. They kind of maybe have to take a whib. Is it a whib or JST approach and just go full on structures. They need to get extremely aggressive here and maybe try a little trickery, but it's gonna have to come down to getting these altars and obviously they need to as 60GT holds on to this altar and takes that back, but yeah, they need to get extremely aggressive on the altars and they need to make sure they maintain their altars too, and even as we've talked about in the past as well, go for the outposts. Like start taking any of these little points you're gonna need to come back from this kind of deficit against 60GT.
Yeah, it's getting pretty rough for 27 WP. They try to murder ball up and then 60GT is just right there as well. Some of these marches are kind of confused because, all right, we're half health now. What do? We already have the Arc. We have the Desert Altar. What's the next structure for us to take? It's an unfamiliar situation for them. So they're just murder balling up like it's KBK in front of the Desert Altar. This is a flag. Something you don't usually see, but there isn't really anything for them to take at this moment. So
yeah, it looks like they're going to sit and play some defense and wait for this rally to come on. Hold that altar and start accumulating some points from it.
Yeah, they're just trying to delay the recapture of the altar as much as possible. And yeah, they could have went back to the Sky Altar, but walking backwards in Arc of Osiris is kind of kind of a big no-no, right?
Yeah.
If you're already in the front, you should be trying to put as much pressure as possible on your opponents, attack a march, defend the structure, sad face, then come back. So that's probably what they're planning to do here, you know, trade these altars. And the thing is, if they trade altars, they already won the Arc. They already won the first occupation, first captures. So they're perfectly content with trading their Sky Altar for this Desert Altar, at least for the time being.
Bottom of the map's about to start looking really blue here in a minute, Plato. That experience is really showing for 60GT right now.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to 27 WP, right? Winning Sobek. We should know that these are the best of the best of each realm, right? They had to win the qualifiers. I think there's 512 teams put into all those groups, whittled down to the top 32, put into another set of groups, having to be top 2 in that group as well out of a group of 4, then having to win the round of 16, having to win the quarterfinals, then having to win the semifinals, and then having to win 2 games in the finals. Both of these teams going through the gauntlet just to have this opportunity. But I think this is just showing the difference between Anubis, the second oldest realm, and some people say the most competitive realm this season, versus Sobek, which is the newest realm so far. As the Desert Altar is taken back by 27 WP, trading it with the Sky Altar that they captured. They did take the Shrine of War, so you know they're trying to have these little point differentials. 390 to 310. Not losing too much in terms of occupation. They did try to snipe the arc for a little bit, but the arc carriers are right there. It's really tough to steal an arc from under the nose of 60GT, especially when it's next to the city, because all they have to do is jump into the city and they could capture the arc, get that 3k points.
Yeah, they're doing a good job right now, kind of stabilizing. They're not allowing 60GT to really blow up this lead. It's only 1700 points, so 60GT's really kind of only advanced about 200 points since that, beginning of that arc fight. Of course, they still have the arc that they're able to cash in, but the point being is 27WP isn't letting them extend that lead much more. So they're kind of stabilizing a little bit, but they just got to do a little bit more in terms of this structure game.
Yeah, I mean, the structures have been doing pretty decently here. Where they're trading structures. Like 60GT takes the Desert Altar. We have 27WP take the Sky Altar. There's been these kind of even trades, although as soon as we say that, Caster Cursed into the Sky Altar getting taken. But there's been like this back and forth even trade between these two teams, at least for the time being. Which is impressive for 27WP, but at the same time, 60GT, they're perfectly content with doing so because they have the arc, they have the lead.
Yeah, Go ahead.
I think the real question would be in that second. I think 27WP just has to keep it close enough to where if a second arc fight occurs and they're able to capture the arc, it would even up the game.
Yeah, they got to start preparing though, because if they're scanning the map, and I just saw it very briefly, but we might see the 60GT special for this second arc, fight with stocking up. I saw a few provisioners already. So as we saw from that last match, they were able to pull off a 12-point arc fight, which means that they were able to use skills equivalent to 12 points, and they were able to do that because of the skill of stocking up, giving them more energy points for provisioning. So 27WP has to be ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, the real question is, how do you prepare for that though? It's such a tough skill to play against because you're going to be down in skill points. The only real counterplay is to do the same thing yourself, but it takes a lot of practice, a lot of reps to do so. Having knowledgeable leadership, having someone to pop the skills in the right way. So we'll have to see what they do here, as the structures are pretty much dead even. Sky Altar is getting retaken. Again, the big differential was the mid fight, and I also think there's a little bit of a gap in terms of defending structures, where there's some of these structures from 27WP that shouldn't be falling because there's healthy marches next to the structure. Just having marches fill that structure is super important, and you kind of get used to doing so. March swapping, which is in Osiris League, you can only fill a structure with one march per person, right? So when your march gets low, you swap in a healthy march so that you could continue to reinforce that structure. It does take a little bit of practice to get used to doing so, and some of these structures could have been holded if there was a proper march swap, but for the most part, it has been just a mid and targeting difference in these murder balls.
Yeah, I think also to your point as well, for like these murder balls, I think commander decision a little bit. I've noticed 27WP having a few Nebus in the field. I've seen at least 2 or 3 now, unless I'm confusing that with the Asher Bonapal, but I keep seeing the little guy on the chair. Is that Asher or is that Nebu?
That's a good point. I don't know if Asher Bonapal is on the chair. I don't think he is.
I didn't think so either. So if those are Nebus, that could be one thing right there too. Where,
yeah, it is Asher Bonapal Nebu actually.
Okay, interesting. So you're bringing a little bit more like AoE, but the damage might not all be there. So again, maybe the little bit of a difference in some of these commander selections as well, which might be putting 27WP a little bit behind, but they made a nice play there on that Shrine of War now rotating.
Yeah, I mean, Now they're rotating into the murder ball of 60 GT, just sprinting at the arc, perhaps trying to force the arc carrier to capture it a little bit early. 4 minutes until they are forced to capture the arc. And yeah, they're just murder balling in front of the Shrine of War. But, you know, 60 GT trading that with the Desert Altar, they'll take that trade any day of the week. 150 points to, I believe, 80 points from the Shrine. And that's the thing about these top teams is you usually don't see too much contention with the Shrine of Wars. Perhaps the Shrine of Life because it's in that outer lane, as we were talking about, taking those outer lane structures, making your opponents decide between one or the other. But at least it is a structured trade rather than them slowly losing by, you know, the structure just falling without a response. As the arc was just captured, 8 minutes until the next arc spawns. What should 27WP start doing to prepare for this arc?
I mean, they gotta finish doing what they're doing right now. So like on this Desert Altar, on this attack, they could probably clear this out, prep up maybe one more, and then go in. You're also you're cutting it a little bit close here in terms of a rotation. So I think personally, if you can just stabilize your buildings and just make sure they're well defended, just get into that mid. Maybe even bring some siege marchers, some range to maybe just throw off 60 GT a little bit on this second arc potentially. Doesn't have to be a lot, maybe one or two. We've seen the effect that a ranged march can have. But they definitely need to start getting ready for arc, because if they don't win this arc, then it's GG's. So 60 GT, even before they captured the arc, I peeked up at the points and they were able to grow it a little bit more, I think by like 400 to 500 points. So since the last arc, just on structure points and provisioning alone, they were able to increase that gap by an extra 700 points. So yeah, it's looking for 27WP that this next arc is a must win.
Must win arc call by Dirty Dan. 6 minutes 40 seconds to go until this arc spawns. I think the big point swing came from the Desert Altar being taken. They traded, as we said, with the Shrine of War, but the Shrine of War was taken back as well. So and one thing I will say, leading with the rally instead of having the murder ball come up and then the rally come up is not a play for success if you're trying to burn anything in KVK in Osiris League. Rally is getting super swarmed down. Nevsky with Justinian, not that much anti-swarm. It is now down. So 27WP will now have to wait another minute for the rally to hit, to reset and hit this Desert Altar. But within that time, 60GT will be comfortably in mid, taking that positioning advantage. So
yeah,
it's looking pretty rough right now.
You're almost to the point on this altar too, because you're so close to arc rotations. Is like, do we just let it go and just go for mid? But we know the value that a Desert Altar has, and it's a really tough position to be in, especially with it being your home Desert Altar. So again, 60GT just applying so much pressure and now forcing 27WP to make a little bit of a crucial decision. I'm gonna assume that they're gonna go in and try and take this Desert Altar back, but it's gonna cost them a little bit of time getting into this mid fight, really.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose situation, right? If you go straight mid, then you're losing 150 points per minute. But if you don't go straight mid, you're gonna be later to mid. You're gonna lose positioning. Your marches are gonna be low, and you can't really afford to reset now because there's 5 minutes left until arc. Like, what can you realistically do with these marches in 27WP? We'll have to see what they plan to do. Some of the healthy marches look like they're rotating to mid, and it looks like the half health marches are also rotating to mid. So yeah, we also see it's kind of a split call. Some people walking back home, some people walking to mid. But for a moment there, 60GT had 4 altars. I gave them an extra one. They had 4 altars. It was 710 points per minute to 210 points per minute. Now with the altar being taken back, it's a bit more manageable. But we're going into the second arc, which gives 3.5k points, but 27WP is down by a whopping 7k.
And they did also pop Dust Up just a few minutes ago, so I'm curious if they have the full skill bar. So they did use up a skill before the mid fight, and that's probably because they didn't use the full skill bar, I believe, on that first arc fight. So, or they didn't use all their skill points. So I think they probably had some just sitting there in excess for a while, and then they made a call. But yeah, I would be very curious to see if 60GT pulls this stocking up. Now there's quite a good amount of provisioners on the field for them right now.
The camera going a little bit wonky there. 27WP. I mean, we could try to see if there's some damage marches here.
See, with these damaged marches too, I would, if I'm the arc, coordinator, probably make a call and say, hey, at least take those troops up and maybe start to pick off some of the guys coming in to make that playing field a little bit even. But yeah, that's very uncharacteristic of top OL teams from what I've seen. I don't think I've seen that in quite a while, of someone just kind of saying, screw it, just send your troops into the mid even if they're not full health.
Just run it. But 60GT taking the Desert Altar with 4 marches here. Just doing as much as they can with little resources. I don't think they're fully committing to mid. Although it does look like every march outside of those 4 marches is going mid here. And look, now the 4 marches, they take the altar. What are they going to be doing? They're going to be sniping reinforcement marches that are coming from this bottom side, making sure that they go mid at half health or lower so that they can't be a factor for this mid fight. So they took away 300 points because it's 2 minutes where it has to reset and go to 27WP's side, and also taking away some troops of 27WP before they go mid. So it's a huge win for 60GT, and I feel like that's a play where that's just an experienced call, an experienced player doing those type of things. And if for 27WP, they're probably just listening to the arc lead, murder balling up, and it's hard to make those decisions against such an experienced team.
Yeah, and we always try and touch on the nuances within Osiris League, right? And we always touch on account status, but I mean, you brought it up in the beginning of the match. Like, there's so much more that goes into these arc fights or these arc matches. Targeting, commanders, talents, how you're using skills. So 60GT just a wealth of experience here, and it's really showing. To the death used by both teams. I think Total Vision was also used by 27WP. Let's see if there's going to be more skills from 60GT, or if they're only going to be using to the death and Dust Up from 60GT earlier as well. So to the death Dust Up versus to the death Total Vision here. Who do you think is going to win this Murder Ball, chat? Put it in the chat. The sad faces look like they're coming out more for 27WP. Yep, I'm seeing the same.
A stream of sad faces.
Yep, there they go. Up.
12 seconds until this temple spawns. This arc spawns on the temple, rather. But it looks like the Murder Ball was absolutely wiped. You could see the red lines just spewing out of this Murder Ball. So another uncontested arc pull from 60GT.
It's amazing.
And the thing is the timing too, where literally the arc fight just ended and the arc spawns. It's like they knew exactly when to go in, how much time they'd need to wipe the marches. Although maybe they don't know that the arc carrier doesn't know that they're carrying the arc. There you go. just standing there in victory. A little bit of a victory.
Yeah. Relishing the moment.
Relishing the moment next to the temple. As 60GT with the arc. 27WP. Like, I would expect them to be running straight to this arc, because for them to win this game, they need this arc, or else 60G2 will literally be in a 12k point advantage. But it looks like they're going for the Desert Altar. They're getting distracted by the 60GT marches that are walking from mid. So it looks like 60GT will be able to take this arc, and kind of have another free pull here.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much. I mean, maybe in the 27 WP war room, they're maybe just saying, "Hey, let's just go out and just have some fun now with this one." But yeah, it was definitely a tall task coming into it, and you can just see. I think you said 5 Osiris Leagues that 60GT has been a part of, and obviously these 27 WP players, some of them could have a wealth of Osiris League experience as well. But when you're crowned champion as much as 60GT, it's quite the feat to look up at.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why they were grand finals. They're grand finalists last year as well, losing the 93T. They were Grand Prix finalists, losing the 489. Last season, even though they won Realm of Anubis, making it to the finals for both those big events and losing, they are looking to come back this season after a big KVK win against 1093 and their allies, looking to continue the winning streak and get that elusive grand finals championship that they have never gotten before. And unfortunately 27 WP was just in their way. This is what I was talking about, where there was literally one 60GT march and they somehow got into the Desert Altar, delaying another 15 seconds of gap. But we're so deep into the game, perhaps they're just going for the points here, the individual points, trying to get as much damage as possible on these marches.
Yeah, you gotta say it is nice to see 60GT. I mean, although they've been kind of on the top of that mountain for so long, I think the last KVK that they had against 1093, losing some key leadership players, losing some key players in general, for them to come back in these past few weeks the way that they have, coming into the KVK and showing out over there, obviously in the really nice run that they had in their Osiris League, and then now here just staying as sharp as a blade. Really nice bounce back to see, because usually when Kingdoms, and that was their first loss, usually when Kingdoms lose a KVK, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, well, what do we do now? Well, these guys are like, no, we're just gonna sit put and we're just gonna be better, and that's exactly what you're seeing from 60GT and 960 as a whole. So really big kudos to those guys for kind of bouncing back.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot to fight for here, proving that they're still the 960 of old, and trying to get that elusive Grand Finals Grand Prix championship. Again, I believe how Grand Prix will work is all of these teams that are in the Grand Finals will also be in the Grand Prix, as it invites the realm champions of both the international and the Chinese server, if we're going to be doing it from last year. So we will be seeing 27 WP again. What learnings do you think could be had from 27 WP after this match there, Dan?
I think a lot of, if I'm just putting myself in potentially a new player's shoes, right, as 27 WP probably has, becoming a little bit more familiar with commanders, just becoming a little bit more familiar of how they perform, and then obviously just kind of looking back on this match and just tuning up on some of those things, like as you had mentioned, their altar got sniped by a single march. So just focusing on some of those small things, and then I think also there might be some targeting that they would have to discuss as well, because those those mid fights have been looking pretty brutal for 27 WP. But I think a lot of it is just there's so much new stuff. And I know when we were in the test server and I was playing with a developer account, I was like, wow, this is insane. Like, and I have a pretty well developed account, but there was still a lot that I had not used before. And I was like, wow, this is how this works. Oh, this works really well. So I think just from that perspective and just commanders alone, I think they'll come back into Grand Prix with a little bit better of an understanding of what to do and how to execute from a commander basis.
Yeah, a lot to learn. And you know, see, there's no shame in losing against 60 GT, as I have 2 KVKs, 3 KVKs ago. As you know, we have 17 minutes left in this match. 60 GT did capture the arc, so they are up by about 13k. But there will be a final arc fight for 27 WP to hone those mid-fight skills. I don't know. Perhaps let's look at the skill bar. Perhaps they have a sneaky strategy or a sneaky tactics, master strategies, double play in their bar. We've seen that in KVKs, especially in the younger realms. That we did see a couple master strategies plays compared to the older realms. I feel like Horus and Anubis kind of got away from master strategies versus Bastet and Sobek, where I saw a lot of arc steals in those realms. So yeah, everyone is starting to rotate mid. We have 4 minutes 20 seconds until arc spawns, but you know, it's tough for 27 WP to be in a situation fighting against the literal winners of season 7. You could see 60 GT next to this Temple of Osiris, just showing the pedigree of their opponents here. But 4 minutes, they have positioning advantage, but they have not been able to translate this positioning into an arc win. Will they be able to for the third time around? Dirty Dan, what do you think is going to happen in this mid fight? Realistically, what do you think is going to happen in this mid fight?
Realistically,
I know as casters we have to keep it interesting, but realistically, what do you think is going to happen in this mid fight?
It's going to depend on the skill usage. I'm very curious to see if 27 WP has hidden there. And of course this is the last mid fight, so they might as well go ahead and use it in whatever plan they had there. So it's going to depend a little bit on that, but if it's going to go straight forward like some of the last mid fights, I'm going to call that as we'll see another 60 GT wipe here.
60 GT wipe called by Dirty Dan. It would have been hilarious though if they just all brought siege marches, siege towers for this last Temple of Osiris fight, for this last Ark of Osiris fight, but only bring the one so far. This is always a dilemma for me, right? Where you have this one really tiny march attacking you. It's annoying. It's like a fly, a mosquito doing damage to you. But it is still doing damage. But if you sad face it, then it gets to reset. So there's always this weird dilemma when it comes to marches hitting you going towards mid. As we have 2 minutes 20 seconds, 14:40 left in the game here. As both teams here just full sending mid. This is looking like a full commit by both teams here. It's looking like there's some players from 27 WP just poking their heads, saying hi, trying to find the 60 GT murder ball here. 60 GT has always gone around the 1 minute mark, wiped the ball, and taken the arc. I wonder if 27 WP is trying to push up so that they'll have to push into the temple so that to get a pull on the arc.
Potentially, yeah.
Because it does look like some players want to move up here, and it looks like they are going to be doing the archer sneaky tactics buff here. But 27 WP trying to go to the archers, but now they can't see them.
Yeah, it's just a
It
little
is
bit
sneaky
late.
tactics, and now they're like, okay, well, they don't exist anymore. We can't see them. Going back into the 60 GT murder ball. Bogged down, one of the skills by 27 WP. Heaven's Grace used by 60 GT. Bogged down actually countering Heaven's Grace though, lowering the amount of healing within the circle by 50%. 27 WP also using Heaven's Grace, and also giving a thumbs up with an arrow tower from JT Towers 98.
Those
Dust
arrow
up
towers
60
There you
GT.
go.
Yeah, the arrow towers are pretty tanky. But we were talking about how since the murder ball is a bit farther out, 60 GT will have to push in to get a pull here. They do have one arc carrier. It might be a 50-50 somehow, even with 27 WP having the positioning advantage, at least in terms of where the murder ball is. But it actually might turn into who clicks the arc first, and it's 60 GT. 60 GT arc carrier, GT L Clutcher with the clutch arc steal, essentially. Though the arc carrier probably would have been sad faced as the murder ball did, but they didn't even have to track down an arc carrier because L Clutcher was able to clutch up with the arc pull here. And that is yet another arc going to 60 GT.
A little bit of a better showing there from 27 WP. I gotta say, the ball didn't clear out as quickly there. But yeah, there's something going on in these mid fights here. Whether that's the targeting, who players, what they're calling out and voice potentially. But there's such a gap in these mid fights where you usually see that because of an account basis, but maybe 60 GT is just that good at these mid fights and targeting and what they need to zero down first, and just doing it collectively as a team to wipe these middle fights.
Yeah, 60 GT. I mean, the fight didn't look dicey, but it was just, 27 WP definitely could have gone on a pull there. But the arc carriers of 60 GT were just standing behind the murder ball uncontested. First of all, the arc carriers were literally just standing side by side saying kumbaya, both teams there. But 60 GT's arc carrier is just able to tap the arc first in that situation. 60 GT holding the opponent Desert Altar. 27 WP trying to take back said Desert Altar. 4 altars, Dirty Dan. 2-0 arc. 1 arc in the hand, 2 none. Although the arc was dropped.
Whoa.
There is the arc carrier coming back with a vengeance here. But it does look like there are enough marches from 60 GT to take this arc back. Eleanor, by the way, being seen in both Arc of Osiris as well as KVK. I remember in the middle of the Osiris League season where we saw Eleanor come into play, Belisarius come into play. Looking forward, do you think William Wallace will come into play for Arc, or is that just going to be a KVK only, or?
I'm personally not super thrilled with what William Wallace looks like. He looks like almost like a Guan in a way. He's pretty glass cannon. I think he'll have some kind of effect, but to what extent, I'm not sure. Curious to see if we'll get the new rallies too and see how they perform against Eleanor. But yeah, Eleanor, ever since the emergence of last season, and I think it may have been the WIB and JST match potentially that we were watching when we saw saw Eleanor first really kind of get unleashed and how tanky she is. And I think even in Arc, she's so good too because she's buffing the troops around her. So definitely a nice play from Eleanor. So yeah, I'm curious to see if the new infantry rally is going to do anything to kind of take down this Eleanor a little bit quicker.
9 minutes left in this arc. 60 GT did capture the arc, so there's going to be one more arc that spawns. A 4th arc. Not very, you don't see four arcs that often in Osiris League, but 60GT somehow managed to squeeze it in after holding the first arc for pretty much the whole duration. So there is going to be a one last and final time that 27 WP could try to win a mid fight. But the score is absolutely massive. 20k differential between the champions of Anubis in 60GT versus the champions of Sobek and 27 WP.
60GT running up that score a little bit, potentially letting them know we're still kings over here. We lost one, but that's it. We lost one KVK. That's all it was. We're still here, baby.
Letting also perhaps the winners of 93T as well as their opponents on the other side of the bracket, you know, showing them that even if you win against your opponent now, you're going to be having a pretty tough series. Again, the grand finals is going to be next week and the week after, and potentially the week after that, as there will be 3 games. Or is it the next week will be the start of the grand finals at least, so should
right,
be interesting.
Right now 93T up about 5,000 points on 748W, so
looks like it will be a KVK rematch, perhaps.
Looking like a KVK rematch indeed. Yeah, I think that'll be some nice redemption for 93T. I think they're probably very much looking forward to that. I know I know some of my friends in 1093 would definitely be very excited for that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, again, both 60GT 1093 have been in KVK fighting for the past week straight, pretty much. Then going into grand finals. I talked to both the leaders and they were like, yeah, we're not going to be practicing for these grand finals. We're going to play, but we're not going to sharpen our skills. Now with a week before they fight each other, I mean, we could pretty much say that 60GT, 1093, 93T are going to be fighting each other in finals. Now with a week to fight each other and prepare, I think the quality of these matches are going to be super high, and we'll have to see if 93T will be able to work their magic yet again against 60GT as they did in the grand finals last season, or if 60GT will be able to work their magic from the Grand Prix, where they actually knocked out 93T there. So it's been a back and forth between these kingdoms. 60GT taking their first loss last KVK against 93T, and then 93T losing their current KVK that they're in right now. So a lot of rivalry between these two kingdoms.
So on the Osiris League front, they're kind of like one and one in a way.
Last season they're pretty much 1-1, where grand finals went to 93T, but the semifinals of the Grand Prix went to 60GT.
Okay, I like it. Building up a little bit of a, not that the drama wasn't there already, but
a storyline that'll be my intro spiel once we get into casting the next matches next week. By the way, if you like Arc of Osiris content, if you want to watch the grand finals, be sure to turn on post notifications, subscribe to the official Rise of Kingdoms channel, which is right here. Should be a fun couple of series, and then Grand Prix should be a couple months after that. I believe it'll be the same time around November, so a lot of Arc of Osiris content to come. And yeah, it'll be interesting for sure, as the Desert Altar was taken by 27 WP, so a little bit of a win for them. I feel like this is the first time they're able to take the Desert Altar of 60GT, although it was traded yet again for the Sky Altar. So these trades back and forth with the structures kind of has been the name of the game, where at least they've been trading, but 960 overall, 60GT has been able to take the advantage in terms of the trades.
Yeah, there comes a point where the trade-off just isn't enough, and you need to you need to stand firm and hold one of those home structures while capping an enemy structure like the altar. And you just really got to kind of like hunker down and hold one of those for a significant amount of time. Otherwise, you're kind of just the trade-off is just kind of mitigating any true benefit that you can obtain.
Again, like this is a pretty good showing from 27WP, especially seeing some of the powers of the accounts that we saw earlier in the game. 10 million, 18 million power players probably aren't used to running all 5 T5 marches in an Ark of Osiris game, so some good experience under their belt with this match here.
Which also too kind of it helps in a way as well, to kind of get these guys ready for their next Osiris League, right? So they'll no longer be in Realm of Sobek, and they'll get bumped down or bumped down into Bastet, which is going to be SOC commanders. So Sobek, in my experience, as we've built a team around going into Sobek and trying to win that. It's a lot of obviously KVK2 commanders who has the bigger accounts. Obviously, you has all those KVK2 commanders max and whatnot, but SOC is a totally different playing field. There's so many more commanders out there. You have the best of the best meta marches now, which you kind of are kind of dictated to have to run. As like I'm seeing here in the field, there's an Ethelflaed Trajan. Like we haven't seen that in Horus, Sobek, or Bastet. We don't see Ethelflaeds anymore. So this is good preparation for them, not only for Grand Prix going forward, but for next Osiris League, so they know what they need to do in terms of these commanders to be relevant in the realm of Bastet.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even what commanders to use. It's for them, it'd be, especially the younger accounts, it's commanders to invest in, right?
Yep.
Because
exactly,
newer accounts, not exactly have everything maxed, still creating an investment plan. Of course, things are subject to change by the time that they're in Bastet, but at least they kind of have a gist of what is good now and could continue to track the changes as commanders release.
Absolutely.
And I think that's definitely one thing that players can take from home as well. If you're a newer player, or if you're a player that doesn't have the like commanders maxed or getting back into the game, is looking at Osiris League. If you want to be an Osiris League player, and seeing the open field marches saying, hey, I should invest in this commander, I should invest in that commander to be Osiris League, Ark of Osiris relevant. And
Absolutely.
a lot of these commanders also translate into KVK, so it's kind of like a dual purpose in that situation, as Sky Altar retaken by 27WP, trying to hold it until the last buzzer here. A valiant effort, not being enough. 20k differential with 30 seconds left in this match here, and I honestly don't think they played too bad, Dirty Dan. It was there were some newer mistakes, but at the same time, it's not like they got completely destroyed in terms of the structure game. They were slowly losing by structures, but the mid fights over and over again, I feel like, especially with 60GT, will they be able to capture this last arc? 5 seconds left, although the timer has been wrong in previous instances of watching. Looks like they fixed the timers, Dirty Dan, as that last arc was not captured. GG's to both teams. We got TC from 60GT with 276,000 individual score and 40,983 points to 20,514 points. GG's to both teams, both champions in their own right, but 60GT taking the advantage over world players 27WP. Dirty Dan, do you have any final notes about this game?
No, just congrats to 60GT. Moving on to the grand finals. Well played match from 27WP. As you said, they really didn't play that match all that terribly. It was just kind of those mid-fight arc differences. But from structure game and openings, you can see why they are champions of the realm of Sobek. because they do look like a diligent Osiris League team. It's just unfortunate that they had to go against one of the best. So shout out to 27WP. It was a great showing. Looking forward to you guys in the Grand Prix and future Osiris Leagues. And congrats to 60GT. It should be fun to see how this storyline progresses against 1093 as we get going next week into the finals.
So be sure to subscribe to the official Rise of Kingdoms channel right here for more Osiris League Grand Finals content, for more 60GT 93T content. And if you like Rise of Kingdoms stuff as well, Dirty Dan and I's channels are in the description as well. Subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.